Hello, Nicholas Sperling here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to what is soon to be our podcast studio for a social justice podcast. This isn't what it's exactly going to look like. This is sort of an example. We're going to have a better tablecloth. We're going to have a different background, but this is generally the setup that we're hoping to use, and we're hoping to launch sometime in September, so stay tuned, coming up quickly. And I want to talk to you today about where I'm at now that I'm back from my trip. And you have probably already seen my Copeland Island video if you follow my channel, and I got a lot of really positive feedback about that, so thank you very much. That kind of content doesn't get as many views, but it seems like it resonated with a lot of you, and you enjoy seeing a trans person sort of out in the wild doing just regular person things instead of being trans specific content. I heard that comment a few times, and it's interesting. I guess I see the larger views on some of the videos about trans content, and I think that means it resonates more with people, but there's a difference between resonating with people and getting clickbait. And a lot of my sort of vlog style of videos, I don't use clickbait. I don't use very good thumbnails, which I should probably work on, but hearing your feedback that it was interesting seeing those videos, seeing me out in the wild just doing standard things, hello motorcycle, I just really liked to see that, and so the numbers don't really bother me if I know that it's something that you like seeing. Obviously, I would like to get the views up just for the sake of growing the channel and getting the message out to more people, but for the time being, as you've seen in my recent videos, I just haven't had as much time to commit to YouTube because of everything else that I have going on in my life. The video I put out before my trip was titled something to do with being overwhelmed, and that hasn't changed. Now that I'm back from the trip, I feel great because I had such a good time. I have all these amazing memories, but I'm back to being even more overwhelmed than before because of all the work that wasn't able to happen while I was away. So that's today's video, and I'm just going to walk you through sort of mapping out how I allocate my time, because I think that maybe you'll find it useful, and it's definitely something I find useful for figuring out if I've bitten off too much, and that's pretty common for me. So this is a good exercise if you're the type of person who maybe takes on too much, or maybe you find yourself with a lot of free time because you're just not quite there with figuring out scheduling and you allocate too much time for things. Let's try an exercise here to explain. So there are 168 hours in a week, and I can only do so many things. One of the main things I have to do is my work at the flag shop. That is 40 hours a week. Okay, so we've got 40 there. Then I also have to do some work for an organization called Tivine. That is 10 hours a week. All right, so that's chipped away a decent amount of time here. Now, let's say I want to try to sleep 8 hours a night. Let's put sleep here. So that would be 56 hours minus 56. So how many hours do we have left here? That right there is 106 hours. So we now have 42 hours left for everything. Now, this is when being overwhelmed comes into play, because having 2 jobs and trying to sleep is already a bit of a challenge for some people. I'm fortunate that my jobs are both flexible, and this one's only 10 hours, so 50 hours a week is fairly manageable, but I tend to do a lot of other things with my time. So what are those things? Well, I'm gonna put down the Green Party here because I'm on their provincial council. And now I'm going to put in my renovation. There's a lot going on with my renovation. I'm doing a full apartment reno on my place. Now, maybe I'll talk about this in the future, but I've been having some issues with my rental property. So currently, it's sitting unoccupied, and I have to do some repairs on it. So we've got another aspect in there. So those are 3 fairly large pieces. Then I try to do my social justice advocacy work, which I get to do a little bit of through my jobs, but I do that for myself as well. So let's add another one in here called advocacy. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I am the president of Tri-Cities Pride, and at the moment it's kind of in name only because I've agreed to stay on to keep the board stable. I just don't have the ability to put a lot of effort into it at the moment. But that's still something that weighs on me from time to time, so I will put it in here. Tri-Cities Pride Society. I also have an older vehicle that I'm in the process of camperizing, so that's taking up some time as well. And while I have that on hold for the time being, I still need to add that in somewhere because there's still work that needs to be done from time to time. Then I have my trailer, which is sort of my storage unit, but it's less expensive than having a storage unit. So let's put the trailer on there because in the process of doing my renovations, I also have to build out my trailer to store the things that are being taken away from my home and put in the trailer for storage to make them accessible. Now, a lot of this has certain times it has to be done, and I need to have some flexibility to account for that. I also just want to have time to see my friends. So let's put friends in there because that's important. All right, and then I also love to play sports. I like to do activities, things like that. So let's put down activities. Now, this is starting to get kind of full here, and I haven't assigned hours to any of these. And there's a good reason for that. So that's it in a nutshell. We have this mind map, or whatever you want to call it. It's the hours from the week broken down by activity. I've only put hours on a few of them, and that's because everything else just kind of has to fit around those things. I don't want to sacrifice my sleep schedule, so I try to allocate enough time for that. And in fact, I probably allocate more time than that to trying to sleep because I have trouble sleeping, and I probably actually sleep less than the 56 hours I've written down here. With the flag shop in Devine, those are hours that just absolutely have to go to those organizations. They're paying me for that time, and it's time that I then owe them. So I'm very much committed to my 10 hours a week for Devine, 40 hours a week for the flag shop, and I'm just very thankful to those 2 organizations for allowing me to be flexible and try to fit everything else in. So to go through a few of the other things, obviously, I want to hang out with friends as much as possible. And that doesn't always happen, but I try to make sure that I see friends at least once a week. And also, I do activities like soccer, which are team sports, and I have friends on the team, so I can kind of combine seeing friends with doing sports. But also when I do have a sports league, I'm signed up to it, we have set games and practices, then I can actually add that one to the schedule. So that sort of takes care of that piece. Then we have the BC Green Party Provincial Council. The time for that one sort of varies depending on what's going on in the province and what the provincial council is needed for. Then I have my rental property, and this one is top of mind for me at the moment, not because I want it to be. I had an issue with a tenant who had done some damage to the place. There were tons of complaints from other residents in the building who felt threatened by a person that the tenant was bringing into the building on a regular basis. And they were just in contravention of all sorts of different agreements, both from the rental agreement as well as rules that Strata has in place for the building. and it just ended up being this huge fiasco. I still haven't seen the place yet. So if you don't remember, I made videos about this last year where I was renovating this place. It was a big dream of mine to be able to get a place and fully renovate it myself. I'd never had the freedom of someone hiring me to do it, so I figured I could just do it for myself as sort of a way of learning. And I don't believe in flipping properties, and so that's why I settled on doing a rental. So I've been trying to be the best landlord I can possibly be, make sure I'm following all of the rules to the T, and trying to be as lenient as possible, understanding that it's just a tough time that we're going through. And unfortunately, this person just walked all over my kindness, and we ended up with a situation that escalated, and they have left now, but I haven't seen the property yet. I retake possession of it tomorrow. So it's top of mind because the last time I saw it, I know that it needed a decent amount of work. There was like half a bathroom door, for instance. And I'm just worried about how much more there will be to do, because I literally just renovated this a year ago, and you've seen the videos. I did it all by myself. It took so much time because I just didn't have the money to do it or to hire someone else. And now I'm potentially gonna have to do that again, depending on how bad this situation is. So that's a big one for me, and that's something that's sort of thrown a wrench into everything. That was one of the things that I said I couldn't talk about before, but now that the person has moved out, I can sort of talk about it a little more, but still not in full. And then on top of that, I've got the van, which I'm camperizing. That one can kind of wait until a little bit later because I can get the reno done and then work on the van. But motor vehicles don't really work on your schedule. When things go wrong, you kind of have to fix them. So while I can wait on some of the things, there's other aspects of that vehicle that I need to maintain and make sure everything's working properly. So that's bringing in some time here or there, or taking away some time here or there from my schedule. I have Tri-Cities Pride, which I'm the president of, although at the moment it's sort of a name only. I agreed to stay on a name to keep some stability there, but we are looking for someone to take my spot. So if you're interested in being president of Tri-Cities Pride, reach out, and hopefully we can find a solution there, because I don't have the time to commit, and I just feel bad about being in that position when I can't fulfill the responsibilities of the position the way that I would want to. So that's been a bit of an issue, and it still creeps into my schedule here and there, because you can't be a president of an organization and not do anything. So that's still definitely on my radar, and I'm hoping that will pick back up when we can find some folks who are able to sort of take the reins on that one and take it into the next phase. Then I have a trailer, which is my storage. It's cheaper than having a storage unit, so that's where I keep a lot of things from my apartment that aren't worth much, so that I can have the more valuable tools stored in my apartment where I know that they're more safe. But it's kind of difficult to access things, so I need to organize it a little bit better, but that can also kind of wait until after the renovation. It's just a bit of a stressor. And then I've got all of the advocacy work that I like to do. I'm obviously the flagship social justice advocate, so it's a lot of the work that I do, but it's also just something I do because I'm passionate about it. So you can't tell me only do 40 hours a week of social justice work, because I want to do more. So that's something that factors in, and it's not something that I set aside time for. It's something that I'll see an issue that I really care about, and then I'll see what I can do to, further advocacy towards that issue. So that's sort of an unknown, and it always will be. And then I have the renovation itself, which is huge. So much work, and to be living in what was already a cramped space with a lot of things, and now trying to renovate at the same time, and work from home sometimes in that space, and that is probably the most overwhelming thing that I have to deal with, is just waking up every morning in a construction zone and knowing that there's months of work before I can get out of that space. So that's definitely a problem. And thank you to all of my friends who've been coming over and helping me to chip away at this, literally and figuratively. And I'm hoping that that'll be done this year, but it's just so much work. The kitchen still has to be completely done. The flooring in the kitchen, in order for me to do the flooring in the kitchen, I have to rip out the old cabinets, but it's difficult to find cabinets nowadays because of lumber prices and there's shortages. So that is kind of the next big piece of the project. And then there's painting and baseboards and doing all of the minor touch-ups here and there. And the bathroom doesn't really need a lot of work, but I do want to put in a new toilet and possibly a new vanity, because those are two items that are sort of lacking there. And that's kind of where my life is, and then anything else that comes up obviously gets added onto that. And I know that everyone's life is kind of like that. I maybe bite off more than most people do, but that's kind of why everything has been progressing slowly. If you've been watching my videos and you see a renovation update one week and then the next week and it doesn't maybe seem like a lot has been done, it's because it's getting done in conjunction with all of this, right? That renovation could potentially take 3 to 4 months if that was all I was focusing on, but it's not all I'm focusing on, so it's taking much longer. And then the longer it takes, the more overwhelmed I feel, so the more difficult it is to tackle all of the other things. And it's just one of those difficult cycles. It's one of the reasons why doing something like this is important early on, because you can hopefully realize that you're biting off more than you can chew. Alternatively, if you are taking on a project that maybe seems daunting, but actually doesn't require a huge time commitment, writing it out can sometimes make you realize that it's not quite as daunting or challenging as you maybe thought it was. So I think that this sort of system of writing things down is good for everyone, but mostly I just wanted to give you sort of a Casey Neistat-esque idea of how I'm living my life right now, why the videos that you're seeing are not the content that I always talk about wanting to create, why I'm not just coming back from this vacation and you know, putting out videos about how everything's fine and everything's going well, because nothing's changed between the I'm overwhelmed video and now. And that's basically where I'm at. So this is what I had the capacity for filming this week, and I wanted to show you this new podcast studio. It's nothing too fancy, but at least I can give you a little bit of an update on my life. And soccer, just had my last soccer game with Queer Van Soccer yesterday, which was a lot of fun. That was my first time with that league getting back into soccer again post-COVID. So, or not post-COVID, we're still in it, but you know, near the end there, or not even near the end. But that was sort of my first time playing soccer again since the beginning of the pandemic, and it was just so amazing to be able to get back out and exercising again. I've done some boot camps with my friend Maud, but it's been hard to exercise. As someone who likes to exercise with other people, it's been really difficult to stay in shape during the pandemic, and I've gone through this weird phase where I lost a lot of weight early in the pandemic because I was feeling a lot of anxiety around touching things, eating things when I was out in public and I was doing construction work. So I lost a ton of weight, and then I stopped doing construction work, so I stopped having that activity, and the anxiety sort of gradually dissipated as we entered that sort of new normal of the pandemic. So then I gained a whole bunch of weight back, and then I got really sick for a while and I lost the weight, and then I got over being sick and put it back on. So it's been sort of this up and down whirlwind of being in shape and out of shape and gaining weight and losing weight. So I'm really excited to get back to a bit more of a normal activity structure, and like I said, then I can allocate some time to that, and it just makes it easier to fit everything else in. It might mean that the schedule is busier, but it gives me more of an ability to structure things, if that makes sense. But anyway, I don't want to keep droning on and on, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's a departure, I'm going to keep saying it, from the content that I originally put out, but hopefully it does something for you. And if you do enjoy it, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, please click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, have a great day.